I didn't really plan one, and then this fell in my lap. It's The Return of Paprium. I was like, oh geez, this stupid game began, and I'm like, well, I better make a video about it now, strike while the iron's hot, before...
You got a lot of coverage on that, too.
Yeah.
I think you got lots of more people I've ever seen respond in the first 12 hours on your video than...
Yeah. It's like, I better get this out there before Pat Contry does a video. And I never doubted that the game was going to come out, but it was just a matter of this game company being such a bag of turds and just promising everything and then going silent for months upon months. And then
years, it sounds like.
Yeah, years. And then you finally get something, and I mean, it's impressive. I mean, the last game they made was really impressive. But actually, one thing I don't think anyone misunderstood what I said, but I want to clarify anyway. Because I said the Genesis version of Pure Solar was really impressive, but when you play it on Steam, it's just kind of, who gives a crap? That's not to say that the experience is different. It's the exact same game. Plus, I think they put in some cut content as well. But the problem is that the game itself is so mediocre that when you play it on a much more powerful system, the wow factor goes away. Whereas you play it on Genesis, it's like, I didn't know the Genesis could do this. You play it on Steam, it's like, who gives a crap? This is not even as good as Crosscode or Cosmic Star Heroine. You'll notice a theme when we get into this
FAQ.
This alleged FAQ page. A frequently asked questions page implies that these are frequently asked questions.
This is more like a press release than a FAQ to me.
Yeah.
It also reads partly like a white paper as well, which is kind of strange. Now they're claiming a lot about this chip that they're making. I'm just now diving into the technical part of retro gaming, modern retro gaming. Like the last couple months, just recently started really reading about the chips involved to like make stuff that works like a Genesis or a Nintendo. This special chip, the DT128 16VA 1LT,
the Dettenmeister.
It sounds like this is an FPGA.
It says this is not some lame MP3 or WAV player. This is a digital audio.
That's what MIDIs are. Yeah.
This is live digital audio in the same fashion as the high-end arcade machines of the 90s.
What I'm imagining is this Dettenmeister chip is a virtual machine that that is emulating a really, really low-powered computer to do all this amazing stuff, and then just beams the signals to your Genesis and takes the inputs. It sounds like it's doing a lot of the processing power for this game as well. I dare say that this is like a 32X in a chip as well. It's because with these FPGAs are amazing nowadays. It really sounds like this game. If I had to guess, and I'm making a giant assumption, this game is going to be programmed for an x86 type. The FPGA in the cartridge is going to run the instructions and act as the intermediary between the Genesis for inputting and outputting signals. This is not going to be like an actual cartridge game. Now, is it going to work? Probably.
Yeah.
But is it going to work great? I don't know. There's so many different versions of Genesis.
You know what? I don't think there'll be any compatibility problems at all. So the first one is, of course, is the game compatible with all systems? I'll just grant them that one. I'll say yes. It'll probably be compatible with every single model. And then the next one, this is where we start getting into not actual facts, but more of a press release and not talking about a certain something that ought to be spoken about when you're talking about video games. So it's like, so many sprites and effects and colors, speed and sound, and how is this even possible? And again, it goes into like all this technical mumbo jumbo that it's just basically just like we discovered all these amazing things we could do with the Genesis, and
It sounds like they're regurgitating buzzwords because VR scroll and EPSIS VI. These are just words that actual developers would use, and it sounds like they're just regurgitating it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if these words are in the right context either. Again, I've just recently started looking at modern retro gaming, etc., with hardware and etc. So I could be totally wrong. This could be a totally legitimate sentence about features such as XPIS VI for extended sprite mode 6/60 without flicker. I don't. I feel like they're shotgunning terms.
But I'll grant them all this. I'll just say yes. It'll be the most amazing, technically impressive Genesis game ever released. Okay. What is the Dettenmeister? We already talked about that. So that's like literally the first time I'd ever heard of that chip. But anyway, number 4 is the game really 80 meg? Is anyone actually asking this? I don't know. I think they just seem to be more interested in telling you all the technical details of how impressive their cartridge is. And I don't know if this is an actual fact. The game box, or here's number 5. The game box has... I have to reword these because this guy does not speak native English and he has a problem with verbs. It's like the game box has the Mega Drive or the Mega CD, Sega CD logo. Why does it have this? And then it took me a while to understand exactly what they're saying here because it says Paprium is the second game after Pure Solar to use the Sega CD. The Sega CD can be used as a mate for the 2-player co-op. I'm like, why would you need the CD for a 2-player? And then I remembered the Sega CD is actually like a whole. It's like a whole separate system that connects to the Genesis. So it's like 2 Genesises hooked together. I think the Sega CD is actually a bit more powerful, but it probably uses the Sega CD as like a coprocessor. So, which no cartridge game has done, to my knowledge. Maybe there'll be a Paprium CD, but I wonder if they're going to do that without even having a disc. It seems technically possible. Yeah, it might be possible. Okay, number 6 is something interesting, and then we'll get to what I think is missing from this whole thing. Number 6 is, what about that connector on the top of the cartridge?
What?
There's a connector on top of the cartridge.
Do we know what this cartridge looks like yet?
No, it says, do not connect anything there yet. More announcements soon. So I'm thinking it's going to be kind of a Sonic and Knuckles cartridge, maybe? I don't know what kind of connector they're talking about. If it's like a Genesis cartridge slot, or if it's another type of connector.
I have a theory.
Yeah, I have one too, and it's not a good theory.
I have a theory that because you said that English is not this guy's first language.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's an SD card slot in this sucker.
The only reason I can think of for there being a data input on top of the cartridge is that the game technically isn't complete, which is kind of shitty because the game is already triple digits. It's like $169 for the basic version. I think there's a second version that's over $200. It's ridiculous.
See, the reason why I said a SD card slot is I think the game isn't complete like you said, but I also think that certain updates are going to need to be made because, again, I think that there's an FPGA chip in there.
Okay.
And
yeah, you might have a good point there, yeah.
And lots of these FPGA systems, like the analog systems, all have an SD card slot in there to run firmware updates.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that. So anyway, just scrolling down this fact page, what's missing from this? Like, what would you normally talk about when you're talking about a video game that's not here?
I'd show some images of the damn game.
That's one thing. Another thing is doesn't really talk about the gameplay at all, does it?
I don't know what kind of game this is. I know from your video you said this is a brawler, like Streets of Rage.
Yeah, it's like Streets of Rage, Final Fight,
Double
Dragon.
I see one picture on the site.
I don't know why they're so petrified to share any info about the game. There are very few screenshots of this game. Very little information about, like, really what the game is going to be like to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just weird how there's really no game talk about this thing. It's all like technical shit. Like, I don't get this kind of PR. I don't know why you would do this. Every other new retro game that you find on Steam, they always put the gameplay up front for you to see. They show you how it's played. They show you video of how it works. Like, it's just ridiculous.
The first Shovel Knight trailer is a great example of like getting people really hyped up of, oh my goodness, wow, this is amazing. And the first trailer is gameplay. There is no, it technically has 2 more colors than the NES palette, and technically it's built on a 3D Unity engine. No, it's just gameplay.
Yeah, they just showed the video. It's like, look, it's like DuckTales and Mega Man. You want to play this, don't you?
Technical leads don't usually make good salesmen.
Yeah, Fonzie really needs to have somebody who is a gamer hype his games and not do this himself. He's always been very tight-lipped about his projects. Like, even during Pure Solar, you very rarely got any info about the game until it finally came out. Like, it was really aggravating too, because we'd be like, hey, what's going on? You gave us a release date, and then like maybe a month before it came out, you're like, oh, wait a minute, we got to delay a little bit, and it was just like delay after delay, and then total silence. They would go totally radio silent, and that would just make more people mad. And they would only come out of hiding every now and then to kind of go, oh, don't worry. And in some cases they would get hostile with us and be like, stop whining. That's sort of, I mean, that's where I started to get really mad with them, is when they told us to stop whining.
I hate that attitude from any sort of game developer.
I'll look at a couple more of these facts. It's like, is the game slower in 50 hertz?
That's a weird question.
Yeah, that just sounds like he's getting out in front of something. Like, there's, maybe people are going to notice that, the PAL version seems to run a little slower. Which, PAL
versions always run a little slower.
Well, normally games would be retimed for PAL, but I guess there was some reason that the walk cycle for the characters had to be slowed down on a PAL system, and it sounds like there was some technical problem that he couldn't get past, and so he got out in front of it to address it before anyone said anything about it. There is something loose inside my cartridge. Why is?
Oh no! It looks like he's getting in front of something. Jesus Christ!
Yeah. He's like, this is unfortunate, but shall not cause any malfunction or performance issues. We'll see about that. Apparently, it's some kind of what did he say it was?
Serial number plate, but anything loose in the cartridge with chips is not ever good mojo.
No.
Sounds like he's having manufacturing issues already.
There were manufacturing issues with Pure Solar. Like, apparently, the cartridges don't have a very long shelf life. I don't remember if it's if there are flash chips, but apparently the data on the Pure Solar cartridges will slowly and eventually corrupt, and you'll basically have a paperweight after a while. Like, oh, that's great, thanks. I'm glad I paid $50 for that. Also the disc would skip in the system when you try to play it with the cartridge. And it was definitely a manufacturing defect, because you could make a CDR version and it would play in the system, but the Watermelon guys tried to tell us that it was our consoles that was the problem, and they advised us to open it up and change all the capacitors. It was really ridiculous. But anyway, how about the limited editions? Again,
limited. He's selling limited editions already. Jesus Christ!
How can I get the investors edition? This sounds like he's just in full promotion mode. Like, he's just telling you that there are other editions that he wants you to know about.
It's very scummy because he doesn't know how to sell to begin with. So he's like, everyone reading this is already in love with this idea. I'll tell them how they can buy even more of my idea.
Yeah. And by the way, I listened to a little bit of Pat Contry's latest podcast where he talks about it. And apparently they already have another game announced. Like, they just announced one. And I don't know where it is on the website, because the website's total caca. But
you're being kind.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, the website itself was down for more than a year. They're like, we're working on the website. We'll be back in a few days. Well, a few days turned out to be, 15 months, I think.
Yes.
I got it from the Wayback Machine. It was from August of 2019 to just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can I invest in the game? Don't. Don't invest in watermelon games. I'll say this: you will eventually get a game, but this is not a value. I don't think. I think people who bought Paprium, they're going to come in two camps. One camp is going to be Stockholm syndrome. They're going to defend it to the end, and they'll be happy with it no matter what. And then the other camp is just going to be bitterly disappointed. They're going to be like, yeah, this is a very technically impressive game, but I don't think it's very fun. Yeah. It's going to be another Pure Solar where, like I said earlier, Pure Solar was technically impressive, not really good RPG.
Yeah, I'm calling it right now. That's going to be an SD card slot on the top of the cartridge.
Okay.
For firmware updates, and including updates to unsuckify the control scheme after 3 months of people playing it.
I'm going to be recording with Ben Heck fairly shortly, and I'd ask him about it, but I don't think anyone's going to have the game in their hands by then to crack the chip open.
Someone will.
Yeah, someone will, but the game might not be out by then. So I would sure love to hear his input on it to see what he thinks about it. But a very interesting series of videos to watch is the What Happened to Paprium documentary series. I actually have a playlist of it on my YouTube channel. You could just go to the front page and scroll down a bit and it's there. And I had a bunch of extra videos that also talk about it. I added Pat's video, and so that's worth a watch.